Hello, Americans. Stand by for news. Oh, I'm just messing with you. I'm channeling Paul. Hi, and welcome to 647, 6 stories for 7 a.m. Why? Because there's a famine of truth in our land, and this is your quick, some say not, but quick news fix. And the truth starts now. All right, so let's do it. The Tapas Bar is open. And the first plate from the chef is Justice Clarence Thomas, the best, the absolute best, the person you can trust, the absolute uncompromising justice. Justice Clarence Thomas speaking at Catholic University of America's Columbus School of Law in Washington, the Swamp, D.C., on the prospect of overturning previously settled law. You heard it, lefties. It's your worst nightmare come true. Previously settled law. He says settled legal precedent in the U.S. is not gospel, and in some instances may have been something somebody dreamt up and others went along with. I would say most of it is that way. One such case to be reviewed is 2015 Obergefell Supreme Court decision for legalized marriage for same-sex couples nationwide. Light the match and throw it. Boom! That's what's going to happen, and that won't be the only thing that they do that with. So let's get the popcorn ready. I told you there's going to be a popcorn famine. Nobody stocked up on it. Okay, I'm not going to tell you over and over again. But what Clarence is talking about here is the same problem that's in the church, all right? The church is supposed to lead culture, not follow it. The Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, is supposed to lead culture, not follow it. And they both follow culture like little wimps. And so we get bad gospel and we get bad law. And then the entities become ineffective. All it takes is some stones. Justice Thomas has them. He's demonstrated it over and over again. And let's not forget how the left treated him, okay? They love black people so much. Yeah, as long as they stay on the blue plantation and spout the narrative. Otherwise, they destroy them. They're awful people. All right, next on the Tapas Bar, Mount Sinai prenatal acetaminophen exposure increases risk of autism and ADHD in children, according to analysis of 46 global studies. People are saying, dude, get off the Tylenol thing. Here's why I'm on it. If you go and search the web, it has been sanitized of this whole thing the same way it was with the COVID vaccine. You can't get the information because you can't handle the truth, and all the people in power want to keep you stupid and pliable. Do you get it? So this is happening right now about Tylenol or acetaminophen. The rate increase for autism is 19% over these 46 studies with the use of acetaminophen by pregnant women. For ADHD, it's an increase of 26%. And a Johns Hopkins study from 2019 found that high doses of acetaminophen tripled the risk of autism and doubled the risk of ADHD. All right? That's what a sanitized internet won't tell you. And so if you're a pregnant woman, you cannot make a choice that's based on real information. And you certainly cannot trust the medical establishment. So anyway, more confirmation. And they continue to trash Kennedy and Trump. And they're wrong, but they sway public opinion. I'm going to sway it the other way. All right, this is Drew Hernandez from the Gateway Pundit on George Soros and his funding of domestic terrorism. The Capital Research Center released a report in September of 2025 claiming that George Soros's Open Society Foundation has provided over $80 million since 2016 to organizations with ties to terrorism or extremist violence, categorizing them into groups that directly assist domestic terrorism, incite terrorism, linked to foreign groups, and promote terrorism, according to the report. They gave Black Lives Matter $18 million, an organization that co-authored a guide glorifying Hamas's October 7, 2023 attacks and instructing activists in illegal actions like blockades and economic disruption. The report also details $2 million in Open Society Foundation grants to Sunrise Movement, which endorsed the Antifa-linked Stop Cop City campaign, where activists face domestic terrorism charges for arson and violence against police. Okay? Why are we tolerating this? I don't understand it. Okay? Why is the guy still walking around? And 50% of this money that's mentioned, and there's far more in the article, is U.S. tax dollars funneled through NGOs like USAID. Okay? Our country needs reparations from this psychopath and his spawn. And while we're at it, we might as well clean up Huma Abedin, who married the spawn. And while we're at it, how about Anthony Big Time Weinstein's laptop? And why not look into all the murdered cops who reviewed that laptop? It might be something to spray some Pam on. Figure it out. All right. What's next here at the Tapas Bar? Retailer closing 21 stores loses $80 million after replacing shark survivor model with man pretending to be woman. So it's the Dylan Mulvaney thing again. It's the Bud Light School of Corporate Marketing. If you've seen, I'm sure you've all seen this young, pretty teenage surfer who had a shark bite her arm off. And then after she went through all the surgery and nonsense, she's a one-armed surfer and she's so gritty. She's right back in competition doing that. And these guys were smart. They used her to promote their brand and people loved it. So now what did they do? Their Bud Light promotion mentality, right? Go woke, go broke, you dumb jerks. It's claimed another woke corporation. So Kathmandu Holdings, known as KMD Brands, right? An edgy surfer brand. They got everything. They do boards, they do boots, they do bathing suits, they do towels, they do all kinds of stuff. Well, they're doing a hell of a lot less of it now. They reported an $83 million loss after a boycott in 2024 over a decision to use a so-called transgender surfer to promote the sport to women. The UK's Daily Mail reported this is the biggest loss in a decade. Those losses include a $40.3 million write-down value for its Obaz hiking boot company. KMD owns both Kathmandu and Rip Curl, Stupid Woke Fools. Go woke, go broke. Is it so hard? I don't think so. Okay, but it's hard for these people. As soon as they make money, they have to go left and go nuts. They get reprobated, right? Broken mind, can't make wise choices. Take two. Air marshals want out. What's this about? Federal Air Marshal Service was launched in the 1960s by JFK, and it was moved to the TSA after 9/11. Travel safety whistleblower and president of the Air Marshal Association, John Cassaretti, says the TSA has no deep experience with law enforcement. I think we all know this. All right. TSA has exceptional expertise in light molesting grandmas, in junk appraisals, very good at that, and how to make a Texas double whopper or a spicy royal crispy chicken. Anyway, Casaretti wants the air marshals to operate as their own agency and not have to wear those cheesy gold crowns, right? So Casaretti complained about the politically motivated Quiet Skies program, which cost taxpayers $200 million and didn't catch one person trying to hijack a plane. Didn't catch anybody, just bothered a whole bunch of Americans, one in particular, and that was presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard. They hassled this woman mercilessly. Oops. All right. Take 3. Remember this name. Okay? Not going to say it again. Remember this name, Tilly Norward. Tilly Norward is the next big thing in Hollywood, the next hot ticket in Hollywood. Cute and determined ingenue. She can play a mid-teen all the way to an early 30s. That's how awesome this chick is. So what's the problem? She's an AI creation. Think about that for a minute. Hollywood doesn't like this, but it's too good, and she's caught on already. So the first big issue for Hollywood is, who will the Hollywood producers and agents molest if all the cuties are AI? Well, they better ask Grok. Grok's got all kinds of great ideas for leftists. So Tilly is the first creation of AI talent studio Sequoia. Sequoia. You're going to hear that name. They're going to make so much money. It's like Shakira, man. Shakira. It's Sequoia. Run by Eline Van de Villen. Eline's a woman and an actress and a comedian and apparently brilliant. What's her job? Her job is to create digital movie stars. No more smug George Clooney, right? No more Angelina Jolie hating her country, right? This is just awesome. No more messy divorces. No more drug overdoses. No more gender changes or in general, that I'm so special syndrome. Hollywood's response? Not going to happen. The no molesting thing, this is a definite deal killer for Hollywood. So I think Eline needs to get with Elon, and then they combine their expertise in a feel-good robot with all this AI talent and make it an AI tweener that the studio heads can hump. Then I think it's going to be magical. It's going to take off like a rocket. And that's how they do it out in Hollywood. Do the hump. Do the Humpty Hump. Yeah, do the hump. Do the Humpty Hump. White people. I'm sorry. Some of this is inexcusable. All right, take 4. Now, look, you know you're in trouble. We're so in trouble. When John Fetterman is your last line of defense from left-wing terrorism. Uncle Fester was waving a study at the cameras of his former amigos. And trust me, Pugsley and Wednesday were in the mix over there with the cameras and microphones. Uncle Festerman was doing that light bulb trick to get their attention. I'm sorry if you can't follow this because you're not of a certain age, but I promise you this is not white privilege, okay? So the Center for Strategic and International Studies found that the first 6 months of 2025, far-right violence had decreased significantly. Were you aware there was a lot of far-right violence? What is I never see it. I watch the news all the time. Far-right violence? You mean like Bridget Macron punching her husband in the face as they get off the plane? Did they count that? Are they counting bar fights? Are they counting all that crazy stuff on TikTok? Where's all the far right violence? Well, we're not focusing on that now, right? We're focusing on the furries. And their violence has gone up significantly in the first 6 months. The study shows left-wing terrorism is at a 30-year high. So look, this is easy. We don't really need the study. Left-wing terrorism is funded by billionaires. If you really wanted to, you could climb that little tree very quickly and find out who's doing it. But they don't, because they pay off the politicians, and so the politicians sit on their hands. It's awful. And right-wing terrorism, to the extent it exists, is fabricated and paid for by the CIA and the deep state for politically strategic reasons. So all of this terrorism benefits the left, okay? MAGA doesn't do terrorism. You saw what happened after Charlie Kirk. No city burned, no riots, no cop cars burned. Nobody got hurt. Worldwide, even in England, which is a powder keg, 3 million people demonstrated, the biggest demonstration in the history of that country, and no violence. This is a left thing, okay? It's a left thing because they know they're headed to extinction. Thank you, Donald Trump. So all this benefits the left. I don't care about these studies. Here's the solution. Incarcerate participating billionaires and their spawn and confiscate their assets. Somebody with some stones could get that done. They're not in the Congress. So what's the workaround? Sign those XOs. All right, take 5. Harvard's they-them professor teams with House Dems to spend your tax money on research promoting trans youth violence. So this is Natalie Winters. This is the best investigative reporter to never win a Pulitzer Prize. If you don't follow her, then you're missing the cutting edge. Here she goes. The assassination of Charlie Kirk by a radical transgender activist has once again spotlighted the growing militancy inside the LGBTQ plus protest movement. What the mainstream media won't tell you is that this rising wave of aggressive activism isn't happening in a vacuum. It's being carefully studied, organized, and in some cases, directly subsidized by U.S. taxpayer dollars. At the center of this network sits Erica Chenoweth, a Harvard professor who identifies as non-binary and uses they-them pronouns. Chenoweth has built a career researching how youth and LGBTQ plus activists can be mobilized in protest movements, focusing less on morality or safety and more on which tactics are effective, i.e. violence. Chenoweth leads Harvard's Nonviolent Action Lab. It's a cute name for what they teach. Has nothing to do with nonviolence, right? It's the left. Whatever they name the thing, they're doing the opposite. This U.S. aid-funded project is hardwired into the Democratic Party apparatus. They partnered with Rep. Pramila Mustache Jayapal to run a series of resistance labs designated to train far-left activists for confrontation and disruption. Jayapal, who can brush her teeth without a toothbrush, herself told activists she wanted them to be strike ready, even suggesting violence may be coming. She further promised to share the trainings with the rest of her Democrat congressional colleagues. This is treason, folks. This is fomenting domestic terrorism. The Harvard lab is housed inside the Ash Center for Democratic Governance, which deleted web pages that confirm has taken major funding from both USAID and the State Department, i.e., your tax dollars. So Chenoweth personally joined Jayapal's resistance labs, identifying as a non-binary. Chenoweth uses they, them pronouns in all these organizations, and she looks like Matt Walsh's special needs younger brother. So who's funding domestic violence and radicalizing furries to jump from rooftops? Let's take a look. Some of them are your friends. Amway China, the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation, the Annie E. Casey Foundation, the Asia Center, Harvard University, right? The Atlantic Philanthropies, Bank Rakyat, Indonesia, Biogen, Bloomberg Philanthropies, thanks, Mike, Booz Allen Hamilton, China Southern Power Grid Group, thanks, China. We know you're helping us. The Christopher Reynolds Foundation, right? Reynolds Rap. I mean, give me a break. The Commonwealth Fund, the Dalio, Ray Dalio, right? He's got our best interests at heart. Dow Jones Company, Fannie Mae Foundation, the Folger Fund, the Ford Foundation, Futurist Group, the Hefner Collection, the IBM, John S. and James I. Knight Foundation. You see what it is? It's all the wealthy in our country paying this group to radicalize these lost souls with broken minds and to lead them into believing that violence will make them famous and make them feel good. So all that's a gigantic lie. And despite the nonviolent branding, Chenoweth's work focuses heavily on terrorism, violent protests, and the conditions under which they succeed. Some of her titles, if you're interested in reading her work, are How to Topple a Dictator. That would be Trump as the dictator. The Role of Violence in Nonviolent Resistance. That is Kamala Salad speak. Resilient Republics, Why Terrorism Does Not Destroy Democracy. That's just false. And To Bribe or to Bomb. Do corruption and terrorism go together? So, Erica, Harvard's founding motto, just to remind you, In Christi Gloriam, for the glory of Christ. And yo, they, them, God will not be mocked. Better watch yourself. All right, take 6. This is an AWS study. This is the first time we've done a group of billionaires. It's the NFL owners, right? Getting ready to screw up yet another Super Bowl. So pop star Bad Bunny to headline Super Bowl 60 halftime show. So Bad Bunny is known as the king of Latin trap, right? Latin rapping. He's also a Trump hater. He's an anti-ICE activist and a true creative that Puerto Ricans can be proud of, but not Puerto Ricans who are patriotic Americans, okay? This guy is anti everything that Trump is trying to do right now to solve the influx of all of these unknowns into our country. So the AWS study is what my beef is. It's the owners, okay? As always, the NFL promoting anti-American, anti-MAGA, anti-your MF audience and bread and butter, you Bud Light bitches. So, you know what? I'm only speaking for me because I know the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl party and all this, it's as big as Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever, and I don't get it. But NFL owners, you will not get my time, you will not get my attention, and you will not get any money from me, right? You got a 3-time Grammy Award winner and star of blockbuster movies and all of that. I get it. But he hates our president, and he hates what ICE has been told to do. And so he is against all of that. And you're against all of that because at heart, you've made billions of dollars in this country and you hate it like all the elites do. So what can I tell you? I have no fatal attraction for the Super Bowl. And let Glenn Close handle Bad Bunny. Now you know the rest of the story. Good day.